We are talking about sustainability in the dairy industry, and joining us today is Dr. Colin Ohlhoff from Milk SA. Colin, yes, how do we define sustainability in the context of the South African dairy industry?
Yes, I think sustainability in the South African dairy industry is defined through its commitment to the Dairy Declaration of Rotterdam, which was established between the Food and Agriculture Organization and the International Dairy Federation. And this aligns very closely with the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And this declaration emphasizes sustainability from social, environmental, economic, and health perspectives. And then I think, when we look at sustainability in the South African dairy industry, it's important really to recognize the critical role of dairy in ensuring food security, the role of dairy in reducing poverty, and then also obviously supporting livelihood opportunities for family farmers and smallholders. We then further need to take into account the significant contribution of the dairy industry, or that the dairy industry makes, to providing balanced, nutritious food while supporting economies and creating employment, as well as managing terrestrial ecosystems, while addressing all the environmental concerns such as climate change and biodiversity loss. And then further to that, I could add that the recognition of, we sort of recognize the diverse dairy production systems, the diverse breeds we have in this country, and also the varying regional priorities. And the importance of this is sort of to create an ongoing open dialogue and collaboration at all levels to promote sustainable practices.
With respect to environmental sustainability, are there specific focus areas for dairy?
Yes, absolutely. I think the focus areas for dairy with regards to environmental sustainability are diverse, and they ultimately aim to reduce the industry's environmental impact while ensuring its long-term viability. And some of these are, I can name a few of them. Greenhouse gas emissions, for one, is a key focus area. So here we strive to determine emissions across the entire value chain, get them quantified, and then reduced through all economically viable mechanisms. And this includes the adoption of more efficient farming practices and technological innovations to lower emissions. Important then as well are soil nutrients. So these are carefully managed on farm to minimize negative impacts on water and air quality, while maintaining and enhancing soil quality for optimal productivity. And this obviously then helps ensure that the soil remains healthy and fertile for sustainable farming. Another crucial area for us is waste management. The industry strives to minimize waste generation as far as possible, and where waste is unavoidable, that it can be reused and recycled in line with circular economy principles. I then also really have to mention water management. We know water is such a precious resource, and this really focuses on both the availability and quality of water across the dairy value chain. So water resources are managed responsibly through the use of efficient irrigation practices, as well as wastewater management, and then overall water conservation strategies. And then in addition, soil quality and retention, I think, are proactively managed and enhanced. And we know that healthy soils contribute to better productivity, which in turn reduces the environmental footprint of dairy farming.
Could you elaborate on the link between dairy farming and soil health?
Yes, I think as a start, it's very well documented that maintaining soil health is crucial for ensuring that it remains a functional ecosystem that supports productive agriculture. And in South Africa, there are many, many dairy farmers that contribute to improving soil health through their everyday practices, which include, amongst others, manure management, regenerative farming, and sustainable cultivation. And these practices not only help to sequester carbon into the soil, so this essentially refers to the capture and storage of carbon into the soil, but then also to replenish essential nutrients which are needed for crop cultivation. And controlled manure application is especially key to restoring soil fertility and then reducing reliance on chemical fertilizers. And this is, I think, a crucial point because chemical fertilizers can have a negative impact on the environment, as we know. And, lower levels of nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium are often associated with healthier ecosystems.
Colin, what technology or trends are emerging internationally with regards to the environment?
I mentioned greenhouse gas emissions earlier, and I think that of particular interest lately has been the development around methane inhibiting feed additives. So essentially, these are feed supplements that can be added to the diet of a ruminant animal and ultimately functions by disrupting methane production or even altering the microbial composition in the rumen towards reducing emissions. So for us, this is certainly a developing science to keep an eye on. And then we've also internationally certainly see a lot of interest in carbon markets, particularly in the US and Europe at this stage. And this essentially involves the development of marketplaces or trading platforms where verified carbon credits can be sold. And the idea is that this potentially holds economic value for farmers that have been able to demonstrate, quantify, and then independently verify emission reductions through a range of relevant climate-smart activities and practices.
Dr. Colin Ohlhoff from Milk SA joining us today to talk about sustainability in the South African dairy industry.